ever wished your life were different? You tell yourself you're finally going to leave the unhealthy relationship, start the business, change careers, lose the weight, or finally prioritize your mental health. But then nothing happens. You hesitate, you procrastinate, you find reasons to wait just a little longer, and suddenly months or even years have gone by. If you've ever felt stuck between wanting change and fearing it at the same time, you're experiencing one of the most common psychological conflicts we face as human beings. Today, we're going to explore why our brains resist change, even when that change could make our lives significantly better. The first thing to understand is that your brain wasn't designed to make you happy. It was designed to keep you alive. Thousands of years ago, unfamiliar environments often meant danger. New places could contain predators, poisonous food, hostile tribes, or harsh conditions. Our brains evolved to favor what was familiar because familiar usually meant survival. Even today, that ancient survival system is still operating. So, when you think about changing jobs, ending a relationship, moving to a new city, or starting over, your brain doesn't immediately ask, "Will this make me happier?" Instead, it asks, "Is this safe?" And uncertainty almost always feels less safe than familiarity. One of psychology's greatest paradoxes is this: people will often remain in situations that make them miserable simply because they're familiar. You've probably heard the phrase comfort zone, but many comfort zones aren't actually comfortable. They're predictable. There is a difference. You may dislike your job, you may know your relationship isn't healthy, you may even recognize that your daily habits are hurting you. But because you know what to expect, your brain treats those situations as less threatening than the unknown. Predictability often wins over possibility. Psychologists call this loss aversion. Research has shown that people experience the pain of losing something more intensely than the pleasure of gaining something of equal value. Imagine someone offered you two choices. You could gain $100 or risk losing $100. Most people react much more emotionally to the possibility of losing. Relationships work the same way. Even when someone isn't meeting your emotional needs, your brain focuses on what you'll lose: their companionship, shared memories, your routine, your identity as part of a couple. Instead of focusing on what you might gain, peace, growth, self-respect, healthier relationships, sometimes we cling to certainty because we fear loss more than we value freedom. Here's something many people overlook. Change doesn't just affect your circumstances, it challenges your identity. If you've always been the people pleaser, who are you when you start saying no? If you've always been the responsible one, what happens when you ask for help? If you've always struggled with anxiety, what would life even look like without it? As strange as it sounds, even painful identities can become comfortable because they're familiar. Changing your life often requires changing the story you've been telling yourself for years. That can feel incredibly uncomfortable. Most people know they're afraid of failure, but surprisingly, many people are also afraid of success. Failure raises questions like, what if I can't do it? Success raises different questions. What if people expect more from me? What if I can't maintain it? What if my relationships change? What if I become someone I don't recognize? Both fears keep us standing exactly where we are. Our minds naturally try to predict what comes next. Predictability reduces stress. Uncertainty increases anxiety. That's why your brain often invents worst-case scenarios. It's trying to prepare you for danger. The problem is, your imagination is usually much better at creating disasters than predicting reality. Many of the things we worry about never actually happen, yet they still influence our decisions. Here's something I often remind clients. Feeling uncomfortable doesn't necessarily mean you're making the wrong decision. Sometimes it means you're growing. Think about learning to ride a bicycle, starting your first job, speaking in front of a crowd, moving away from home. Every meaningful milestone in life probably felt uncomfortable at first. Growth stretches us. It asks us to become someone we've never been before. That's supposed to feel unfamiliar. So how do we stop letting fear make our decisions? 1. Don't wait until you're ready. One of the biggest myths is that confidence comes before action. In reality, confidence usually comes after action. Most people don't feel ready. They become ready by taking small steps. 2. Focus on the next step. Instead of asking, how do I completely change my life? Ask, what's one small thing I can do today? Small, consistent actions are far more powerful than occasional giant leaps. 3. Separate fear from facts. When you notice fear showing up, ask yourself, what evidence supports this fear? What evidence contradicts it? What would I tell a close friend in this situation? Often you'll discover that fear is telling a story, not revealing the future. 4. Accept that courage includes fear. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's choosing to move forward despite it. Every confident person you've ever admired has experienced fear. They simply learned not to let it make their decisions. If you're afraid of change, you're normal. Your brain is doing exactly what it evolved to do. But remember this, the life you want probably exists on the other side of uncertainty. The question isn't whether you'll feel afraid. The question is whether you'll allow fear to write your future. Years from now, you'll likely regret the opportunities you never took more than the mistakes you made while trying. Growth begins the moment you're willing to be uncomfortable for something better. Because sometimes, the biggest risk isn't changing. It's staying exactly where you are. If this message resonated with you, let me know in the comments. Your story might encourage someone else who feels stuck. Until next time, take care of your mind, be kind to yourself, and remember that all that you have is your soul. See you next time.